Hey, Ju. Hey, Ju, come here. Papito, come over here. What did I tell you? On the Region Free Gamers podcast, you gotta make the money first. Then when you get the money, then you get the power. Then when you get the power, you get the game. Game based on me, Tony Montana, and a few other cockroaches.
Hello and welcome to the Region Free Gamers, the podcast fluent in gaming, and this is Geoff, the villain, the nasty stereotypical English villain of the group, and I'm actually your host for today's episode, where we're going to be carrying out some scathing views of games that have a little bit of an edge towards the wonderful glitzy world of La La Land, otherwise known as Hollywood. So myself and host, who we will meet in just a moment, we're going to be sharing some of our favourite and maybe some of our not so favourite movie tie-in games. And as most of our listeners, I'm sure, are aware, there is a barrel load of games that we can pick out here. So we're really looking forward to this one. But first of all, look, I just want to say congratulations to everyone listening. You found this podcast on a podcast platform. So first of all, give yourself a pat on the back. Gold star, whatever you do to make yourself feel good in the day. So see this as a big win. So well done, fantastic. But if you actually, like what you hear, which is the next best thing, why not go and give us a lovely rating on your platform of choice? 5 stars would be beautiful, but also 4 stars. I can just about sleep on that. So why not? Why not?
Unacceptable. Five or nothing.
Is it 5 or nothing? You see, there's me being too nice. And you're the Canadian of the group, so there we go. Wow. Look, so yeah, go ahead, give us a review. Beautiful. And of course, as some of you may know, but in case you don't, we also have a Patreon over obviously patreon.com/Region Free Gamers, where that's the place to go if you really like what we do and you would actually love to contribute financially towards this endeavour that we have. It starts as little as $1 a month, which is, Paul, I think that's about 100 Canadian dollars, or am I still underestimating?
You might be underestimating still.
You gotta save all your loonies and toonies for that one.
Exactly.
Jeez. All right. Well, for everyone hard up in Canada, you're not going out anyway. Trudeau's got you all locked in, so why not? Why not throw us a couple $100 Canadian? So there we go. And of course, we also have a Discord channel, which is really getting lively. Kelly's doing a fantastic job getting that into a far more social and respectful place, because we're just we give shade to everyone.
Animals, man, nothing but fucking animals in that place.
Yeah. So if you want to talk to us more there, then by all means, even go ahead and hit us up on Discord. So yeah, before we get into the meat of today's episode, let's meet my fellow co-hosts for today. So first of all, and I'm going to presume you love Uncle Buck because John Candy was a great Canadian comedian, Paul. But we do have Paul over in the Yukon. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Geoff. I'm still waiting for my Uncle Buck video game. I'm sure it will be fantastic.
What do you think it would be? Would it be a driving game or what genre do you think it would hit?
It'll probably be a potpourri, honestly. Because later on, spoiler alert, but later on I'm going to talk about Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves for the NES. And that game is kind of like a mashup of genres. So I would expect Uncle Buck would be similar.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds
Robin Hood and Uncle Buck,
and
man, hand in hand. You think of one, you think of the other.
Like chalk and cheese, right? So we also have Arnie. Hello, Arnie. I'm not sure if I don't know if you'd be a Groundhog Day kind of guy. I'm not too sure.
No. If I was gonna pick a Bill Murray movie, Scrooge maybe. I like Scrooge.
Yeah, you seem like a Scroogey kind of.
Don't mind my friend. He's dead tired.
Arnie picking over the corpses of dead GameStops, looking for all the deals.
Yeah.
Miserly hoarding his pennies.
That is, I don't know if you guys have ever seen that movie, but my favorite part of it is that of course it was sponsored, but all he drinks in that movie is like vodka and Tab. If you remember Tab?
Yeah.
I'll have a rum and Shasta, please.
Yeah, I'd like to think that would be the future of this, where I just like contact people over Craigslist with my vodka and tab and do like Zoom deals.
You know, I can actually well imagine Arnie. You did a lovely little Arnie impersonation there. I can well imagine you hovering over a $3 game bin, looking at all those Japanese visual novels. You pick one up and it says, "But you promised you'd buy me last." I lied. And there we go. You go and buy your visual novel. So there we go. There's our hosts. Look. What we're doing here is, as I said, we are doing a game. You're going to have to cut that, Paul.
Keep all of this in.
So we're actually recording this, guys, at a very interesting time in the year 2021. Not only have the Euros begun, which is the soccer/football tournament over here in Europe, 24 of the best nations going at it for a trophy at the end, which is something every big fan wants to see their country lift. But we've also had to start the kickoff of E3. Yeah. Arnie, have you been keeping an eye on E3?
Haven't watched a second of it, honestly. I plan to change that later today because I think Xbox is having a conference, so I'm looking forward to that. I know Nintendo's doing the thing. Listen, I don't know. Was E3 always like this? I feel like they just did it like, okay, we're doing Saturday, we're doing Sunday, and also Monday and Tuesday for some reason.
I don't get it, dude. I don't understand why they don't just. Yeah, it used to be like the one time that I went a couple of years ago, they started Friday afternoon and then it went to Saturday and Sunday, and I think that was it. So this whole bleeding into Monday, Tuesday thing, who has time on Monday and Tuesday to be watching conferences and so on?
Yeah.
And doesn't Nintendo have doesn't Nintendo have a little bit of weight? Don't they have a big hammer? How did they get Tuesday?
Yeah. Close it up, I guess.
That's because they do their own thing now. They've evolved past the need for E3. They just do their like Nintendo Directs and their Treehouse stuff, and
they do. They do.
I guess we'll show up just to like be there.
Well, I mean, you know what? Who are we kidding? It's Nintendo. They could do it at like 3 a.m. on a Thursday, and they know people are going to show up and watch anyway.
What's the betting line on a Switch Pro announcement, Paul? Yeah. What do you give me on that action?
Ooh, I'd give you probably 1.35.
Okay.
You know, I'm only giving you like maybe $1.30 for every you know,
for every dollar put up.
Yeah, it's not going to be very much. Something like for example, like Metroid 4. I'd give you 50 to 1 on that one.
Oh yeah. That's.
What about a F-Zero game? That's like 100 to 1.
Yeah, that's 100 to 1. I'm not giving you anything for a new F-Zero game.
I hope they do it, man. I really want to buy a Switch.
Of course you do.
Yeah. Well, no.
You've wanted it for 4 years.
Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne is on it. That's actually something that I need to buy. Shin Megami Tensei 5 still looking out on the horizon.
It's coming. It's coming. It's sort of official. They have like I think the worldwide release date is sometime in November, but there was some kind of leak or whatever.
This game is quickly becoming my Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah,
it was announced in like 2015 or something, and I still vaporware as far as I'm concerned.
No, it's coming. If I was a better podcast host, I would have more details for you right now. Sadly, I am who I am, and all I can say is it's coming soon, Arnie.
And they're doing former Shin Megami Tensei people are doing another RPG called like Monarch or something.
Okay,
I've seen like very bare like stuff for it. I don't know much about it, but you know, it's one of those where it's like former people who worked on Shin Megami Tensei, but not like elaborating on who exactly they are. So it could be anybody from like a director to like a key artist or something.
I'm always dubious when I hear like from the minds behind or the creators of, and I'm like, you know what, man? I've seen Mighty Number 9. I think I can take a step back and just wait for the game to come out and not get too excited.
Yeah. From the executive producer of such and such. Oh, the guy who didn't do a lot of stuff on it. Gotcha.
Yeah, no. He made great coffee.
I think we've all got the odd game here and there that we've been personally burnt by, haven't we? I think. But But yeah, I mean, for me, E3, I've struggled with it the last few years to get into it, to get into the hype.
Yeah.
I'm a typical guy that just really, you got to impress me. I'm not going to get hyped unless I see something. With the Switch Pro, I'm sure I'm fairly adamant that we're going to see it. But give me the games. Yeah. Show me what games Nintendo. Show me what am I gonna need the Switch Pro for? A bit like the PS5.
I think didn't Ubisoft announce a new Mario Rabbids game? They're doing
and then take it down immediately. Or was it Nintendo who leaked it and then we're like, oops.
Oh,
off.
Maybe.
It's out now.
It's out in the open now.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the first game, when I played it 4 years after it came out, fantastic game.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a welcome sequel.
Yep. But for me, it's I don't know. I care less about the game announcements. For something like E3 specifically.
Mm-hmm.
I just want the spectacle. Like that's why I'm like, it's online. It's there's no like giant displays of like. All these games they're making, there's no like experiences they've set up for their booths or anything like that. Like that's what I like to see is like all the crazy wacky marketing stuff they decide to do to like hype their games up. And if it's online, it's like
Yeah, I know linking a bit to our favorite third subject, which is sport, it's a bit why so many of the big associations are so weary of places like YouTube where there's constant content. There's constant content, and you've got to try and get people to pay attention for 90 minutes to watch a game.
Yep.
It's getting harder and harder to do. And I feel with E3, there's so much news around before E3, after E3. Like E3 isn't the moment that you find stuff out now, really, for the most part, like Elden Ring and what have you.
Yeah.
It's as you say, Arnie, it's about the spectacle. And unless you're lucky like Paul when you get to go down there, the spectacle it used to be for me like you'll see a photo in a magazine.
Yeah.
But now it's like, it's just everywhere and anywhere, and it loses its magic a bit.
A little bit.
Well, people are just insane. Like there's people like trolling like patent submissions to find like new things. There's people like who like get into like the systems at Target and see like the placeholder titles for like things. Yep. Like people get their news from everywhere now. So E3 a lot of the time, or conferences in general, just seem like a formality. Like it's like, oh yeah, just officially announce the thing that we all know is coming now, please. Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
So E3, I'm sure we'll be chatting a lot about it over on the Discord. I think even maybe some streams of people watching together. So this is probably going to come out after E3, but still I hope everybody got to enjoy it.
Yep.
And there are probably lots of news that we're probably talking about as you're listening to this. But look, onto today's episode. Let's get into what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about, this is, Paul, please insert Fox, 20th Century Fox drum roll. Lights coming down.
I won't be doing that.
The MGM Lion.
I don't do sound effects on request anymore.
The three of us are going to be looking at what I love to call, thanks to Leonard Nimoy, the cosmic ballet that is movies and video games. Because, my God, what an interesting load of games. I want to use a worse word than that, because some of them actually aren't as bad as maybe the reputation.
I know, every once in a while you find a diamond in the rough, but boy, the rest of it's rough.
Exactly. So look, there's lots of them. We discussed it before. There's obviously maybe one or two developers that we all know and love that have a lot of licensed games. So we're really focusing here on movies that are directly linked to a game directly linked to a movie, rather than say like Batman: Dark Asylum, which is a licensed game, but it's a game within its own right and has its own story, even though the character is something that you know of outside of video games. So we're making sure we're putting to those to one side so that we can go through the ones that we've we grew up with, or ones that we've grown to love. But what I want to do is I want to kick it off with a question over to you, Paul. Being the elder statesman of the group, What's been your relationship with movie-based games or film-based games, however you want to put it? And, has it changed over time as you've gotten wiser?
Elder statesman. Let me brush the dust off myself and answer your question, Jeff. Yeah, my relationship has changed. When I was a child, I was suckered, and now I hate movie-based games unless they really go the distance in proving otherwise. Even something like Scott Pilgrim, I remember when it came out, and I was like, nah. Like you have the chance, probably more so than any other movie to actually have a good game come out of you, because the movie itself has a very video game aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yep.
But even then I was like, I don't know. I think I'll just wait and see what happens with you. And I ended up actually missing it entirely, which sucks because it's a pretty good game. Thankfully, re-released.
Yeah.
But as a general rule, Jeff, yeah, man, I remember as a kid, look, it's people who grew up in the NES era more than anything else, because, inevitably you or perhaps a friend of yours receives a NES game based on a movie from a well-meaning aunt or grandma or what have you. They see, oh wow, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Paul loves that movie, or Robin Hood, that everybody loves Robin Hood, and then they buy the game.
Wayne's World, baby.
Yes. World, yeah.
So, and then you get your game at home and you're like, oh jeez, this is a pile. Yeah, and that burning sensation you feel when you actually play the game and realize it's a giant pile is, and there are exceptions. Like, Chris is on our stream chat there. He just mentioned Willow. I've mentioned Willow on the show before as well, when Arnie and I did our childhood memories episode. Willow's a fine game. There are some fine movie games, but by and large, I'm looking at you, LJN. Not great. So,
well, it really seemed like, especially back then, that games hadn't sort of come into their own, so to speak, and it kind of seemed for a moment they were just sort of an extension of other media. Like, when all these movies wanted extra marketing, they're like, make a game. Like, people play it, and then they'll go watch the movie, or they'll go watch the movie and then they'll want to go play the game. Like, I feel like we get less movie-based games now because video games are a bigger deal than movies now. Like, they make more money. Now it's the opposite.
Exactly. I was about to say, you've now got games that inspire movies and games that are better than movies at the end of the day when it comes to, because they can tell a story for 40 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, they sure can. And I think there's probably diminishing returns too. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. I think maybe game companies, and I'm just speculating here, but back in the day you could release a Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th and kind of expect reasonable-ish sales for a very low cost of development.
Yeah.
Now development costs are way higher. Yeah. And people are wise, man. People are wise to this whole movie video game tie-in phenomena, and I can't imagine that any movie-based game now just becomes a bestseller.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think they're a little bit more wary of the cost versus reward.
I think so. I think it's agree. I think that when you look back on the time in the 8 into even the 16-bit era, I think you've just got these incredibly tight deadlines. You want to make sure the game is out. I mean, the one that always sticks in my mind is Jurassic Park, just because the summer of '93, that movie was. I mean, it was literally a monster. McDonald's was all about Jurassic Park. Every single kid shop, anything you could slap a JP logo on, they were doing it. Like, the merchandising went insane for that franchise.
Jurassic Park brand imitation gruel.
Yep. I mean, that is kind of what happens now. I feel like the only movies that get any sort of video game adaptation or any sort of video game extension are like franchises. Like, it's your Harry Potters, it's your Lord of the Rings, it's your Star Wars. Like, games that sort of build a universe unto themselves are the ones that end up getting that treatment, because it's not worth it otherwise. Like, nobody's gonna watch the Mary Poppins remake video game or whatever.
Yeah, it's mostly I think Lego have kind of cornered the market, I think, with Lucasfilm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of the direction you have to go in now, I suppose, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Arnie, I mean, I know obviously we're talking a lot about NES, Game Boy, going into Mega Drive, SNES era, but for you, you know, where have movie tie-in games been for you? Have they ever been anything that you've been suckered in by like people like me, myself, and Paul?
It's funny. I don't remember like a specific movie tie-in game that I was like really excited for, and then I got it and it was like terrible. It's kind of like Paul says, like the only way I would get them into my hands is if somebody else gifted it to me for some reason, and then I'd be like, oh, this sucks, but like I didn't spend the money on it, so I'll play it and I'll suffer through it. But it really was like something I didn't become like consciously aware of, like movie tie-in bad game, like movie plus game equals bad. That formula didn't click in my mind until I was much older. And I remember as a kid like playing, I think like Star Wars Episode 3 on my Game Boy Advance, or like some, and I have some listed on here that we'll get into more detail of. But it really was like I would just play the game and I'd be like, oh, this sucks. And then I'd stop playing the game if I had another game to play. And if I didn't, I'd keep playing the game.
I know, that's the thing. Like, we would... it didn't matter how terrible it was.
Yeah.
We'd still keep playing it.
Yeah.
Right? I think the only game I utterly dropped was Total Recall for the NES, which I've mentioned several times on the show before. But that was more because the first level boss was, like, impossible.
Yeah.
Absolutely impossible. Otherwise, I probably would have still kept playing it.
Yeah, it really is like, if anything, I feel like I suckered myself more than anybody else suckered me. Just be like, can't stop playing now.
Yeah, I know. Gotta play something.
That's it. If this is your game for the rest of the year and it's June, you better get comfortable, wouldn't
Listen,
you?
My birthday's in December, so I know the feeling of having like this empty space between me and a game. Like,
oh, dude,
all right, we're gonna get to know each other really well.
Oh, but you grew up in Puerto Rico. At least you could go outside without suffering.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
It was no. My birthday is like first week of December, so there's like a nice 3-week gap between my birthday and Christmas. Like just enough time for me to tell my mom that she can't merge the two into one present.
Nice, nice.
So yeah, December was the month, but after that it was like, all right, we got a long year ahead of us. And I talk about these things as if like Paul said, like I could have just gone outside and like jumped rope or like been a child, but that would have been dumb. I chose to punish myself instead.
UV rays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get vitamin C or D or whatever it is.
So I thought one of the really, I always felt anyway, even when I was growing up, I was always a bit confused when it came to, say, you get an advert in the magazine, and I'll stick with Jurassic Park as a franchise, where it would be on one page, it would be a Mega Drive case, a SNES box, maybe a Game Boy case, and then maybe an Atari or a big PC box, and it would be like you can basically play this game anywhere on any platform you want. But you notice that they're all developed by different teams.
Yep.
And I wonder, as like a bit of a group discussion on that, did that ever benefit a movie game having all these different teams of like 3 or 4 people go into this?
I feel like the ultimate outcome of it usually was that one of them was decent to good and the rest were bad. And so it was like if you were lucky enough to have picked the right one, you're like, oh, this is great. And then everybody else is just mad at you.
I have a helpful hint. Don't pick the Game Boy one.
Yeah, never pick the Game Boy one.
Yeah, because that one is invariably going to be the worst one. I mean, it made the console wars more sort of worthwhile, I guess. I don't know. Now you get like Xbox, Series X and PS5, and the games are virtually identical, right? So, you can't really point your finger at your version with smug superiority anymore. Whereas we used to be able to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you say that about the Game Boy. I mean, I think you both know I do love my Game Boy.
Yes.
But I know its faults. But I tell you, a game, and it's not going to be in my in my list to talk through because I only, and I feel very guilty about this now, only just started playing it this week, is Batman on the Game Boy.
Yep.
By Sunsoft. Damn, it's a good game.
Yeah.
That's a good game.
Yeah. Probably the only one. Because the rest are just, But
they did the NES ones too, right? Like Sunsoft did a whole bunch of Batman stuff.
Yeah, they did 2 NES
exactly.
ones.
God.
Yeah, they didn't palm it off to Probe or LJN or... If any of those guys are listening, by any chance, I do apologise. But, you all got paid, so I'm sure you're happy.
They know, Jeff. They're listening and they're like,
They created so many childhood memories.
Yeah,
they don't care.
That's a great way to look at it. So I think I think this is as far as we can go when it comes to the general chat about movies and games. But what we're going to do, we're going to take a short break. And then we'll be back where we're actually going to start going through and suggesting to you listeners some games that are actually worth playing. So join us then. Welcome back. Here we go, guys. Let's kick it off, talking about some beautiful movie games. I'm going to start with you, Arnie. What's your first star on the pavement for that games that deserve to be remembered for all time?
If we're talking about actually good games, I got to start off with probably my favorite of all time, which is, and I don't know if either of you have played these, but it's the Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers, and Return of the King games for the PS2, Xbox, and GameCube.
Really? Okay.
Yes, they are like, how do I describe? They're like hack and slash kind of games, where basically you go through like a bunch of scenes from the movie, but they're also co-op up to 3 players, I think. I know Two Towers was because you can play as Aragorn, Legolas, or Gimli. And I think Return of the King you can play as, like, Gandalf, too, which was dope as hell.
That is... Okay, interested. All right.
Yeah. But they're just, like... They're not, it's not, like, anything groundbreaking or, sort of like, wow, you have to play this. But it was, like, just good enough. I was, like... I would throw this on with my friends whenever we just wanted to like play something we didn't have to think about very hard. And it was always a super fun time, just like going around and being badass, like just being, we were really into the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
I was going to ask,
Yeah, at the time I think I owned all the extended cuts and we watched it all the time, a lot of times.
Was it a case of when you weren't watching it, you were playing it?
Yes, and so this was like perfect because it was like, oh, I wish I could be in the Battle of Rohan of Helm's Deep or whatever, and now I can. Kick and stab orcs in the head and kick them off ladders and and they did a very good job from what I remember of recreating the actual scenes. And if I'm trying to remember now if the cutscenes in between were actual movie footage, and I think what they did is they recreated the movie scenes in game
in-game
assets.
Engine.
Yeah. Which was also very entertaining. I was like, oh, this is really cool. And I think they got the voice, the cast to do voices for the actual game. So
right on.
Yeah,
it was a full life. It was a really. A major tie-in. They must
have spent quite a chunk of change on this.
Absolutely,
and it turned out really good. I was like not expecting it to be good at all, but I was like, oh, this is a Lord of the Rings game, and it's co-op. Like, yes, Like even back then, I was like, if a game is co-op, it bumps it up like significantly, even if it's bad, because it's just like a game I can play with my friends.
Yeah.
So this one was like immediate get, and I do not regret it at all. I have not played the Fellowship game, so I don't know if that one is like the same, but that one just wasn't around as much. I remember specifically when Two Towers came out,
Me too.
hearing about it and like it being relevant.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things. I mean, I really enjoyed playing Two Towers. I never played Return of the King. Two Towers. It was one of those games that I was, seen as like a wise old gamer, and I was only like 17. And a friend of mine, his nephew needed some help. So I thought, okay, I'll help. I'm sure it's a pile of shit because it's a movie game. I was like, this is actually quite good. 2 hours later, I'm still kind of battling through. He's like, it's my turn now. Shut up. My turn. I'm Legolas. This is awesome. I think there was a couple of moments where like beating the Uruk-hai was like, oh, this is really, really satisfying. Yeah. I really like that. But the one thing that I really struggled with was just sometimes there was stuff happening. I was only played it single player. There was stuff happening in another part of the map.
Mm-hmm.
And a little
bit have
like
to run all the way there to like handle it. Yeah. Exactly.
A bit like a Musou game now.
Yeah.
But not quite as like defeating 10 orcs with one swipe.
Yes.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
But definitely did make you feel really cool when you killed a bunch of orcs.
Was there any shield riding with Legolas in the game?
No, I was very upset. I was very angry. That's like my favorite scene. Well, first of all, Two Towers is my favorite Lord of the Rings movie. Bar none. Some people are partisan to Return of the King. Helm's Deep is the best fight scene. Yeah, that's the best battle scene they did in that movie.
I know. I can't even disagree with you. Like it's the most, for me, it's the most memorable. Yeah. So if that's the battle from the movies that I remember the most and the movie that I remember the most, then it must be the best.
Yeah. So
that's my logic with it.
Yeah. I always preferred the pacing of the first movie.
Yeah.
And like how it built up a lot of anticipation with the Uruk-hai chasing them down. I thought this is really cool. And I hadn't read the book yet, the series yet. So I was like, it was still new. I was like, geez, and the Balrog and everything. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But Two Towers was like, it just went up. It didn't even go up 10 notches. It just ramped everything up by 1,000. Yeah. Helm's Deep was just, I mean, I even remember at the cinema thinking like from a technical filming, what Peter Jackson did to make that look incredible. I was like, this is technically incredible.
The scope of it was great. Yeah. I mean, to me, I think because this came out in like 2003, 2002,
2002?
Yeah. So I was like 10, and like watching that in the theater was like the equivalent of like when they showed the first movie of the train coming towards people and they all ran out of the theater. Like it was like I was like, wow, I didn't know you could do this. So yeah, and I always remember going to see Fellowship and it ending and people in the theater just being livid that it wasn't over. Like they were like, what? Great times. But
I would say it's the only movie I've been to, a Fellowship, in the UK where the audience applauded at the end.
Yep.
And I was like, we always heard it. This is what they do in America. They always hoop and holler and applaud. And we don't do that. In English cinema, you just sit there, like, entertain me. Come on. Entertain me, Mr. Spielberg. It's up to you. Up to you now. But at the end of this, it was like not everyone, but a decent. I mean, they must have been hardcore fans. It was like the second night, I think, of the showing. So it still must have been a lot of the Tolkien fans.
Yeah.
But people were just on their feet. Like this, so
it really felt like the beginning of the nerd revolution in popular culture, where they swept I think they won like 7 or 8 Oscars. Like
Return of the King did.
Yeah. It was.
It felt like, okay, you've done your movies. Here's the awards.
Not since Star Wars has a franchise like just taken over popular culture like that. I would hazard to think.
You had a convergence there of like early internet, and people showing up in droves wearing their Lord of the Rings costumes, and there's safety in numbers, so they're not going to get beat up like they used to.
Yeah. It was that and Matrix Reloaded. When everyone came dressed as Neo, like, all right, mate, well done. You know how to buy a black jacket. Congratulations. At least Gandalf took a bit of effort. But all right, black glasses. I don't know how you got here. You probably couldn't see anything. But yeah, I mean, I think this is one of those rare situations where like the height of the movie and the popularity and just the sheer brilliance of the movie and the game. It sounds like the game for you wasn't Not that it
Yeah.
was like matching it, but at least
Yeah,
it didn't disappoint. The hype would have been really high for it.
Yeah, no, I think they definitely did as much as they could to try to match like the scale, scope, and like epicness of the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And I give them credit. I think they did a great job at it. And if you haven't played it, get a couple friends together and do it, man. Like,
I think I might.
I think it still holds up, and it's
going to be
relatively
pretty cheap as well.
I was looking them up today,
sure.
and they're like $10 each or something. You probably get them cheaper than that, depending on
might
the
have to
console
have a
you
go.
buy it for.
Yeah.
You know, if you buy it for PS2, be warned, you will need to invest in a multi-tap, which is an accessory that I feel we do not talk about enough.
Arnie, I don't have friends. It's fine. Single player all the way.
Oh god, I remember, I might be crazy, but I remember there was like a base for like the fat PS2 that had a multi-tap like integrated into it.
Whoa,
And I just
really?
thought that was like the coolest thing in
official?
the world. Listen, it could be a fever dream I had at one point. Like something I really wish was true, but I'm almost positive that this exists. And I was like, this is the coolest thing of all time. Otherwise, you got to get the dongle one that just like, it's boring.
Well, so did you play any of the other tie-ins for the movie? I think I'm presuming there was GBA efforts.
Yeah,
at
no,
the time.
I stayed well away from all those. It was PS2 for me then, and now as recollecting them, I got them both on the Xbox.
Gotcha.
But the PS2 is just my preferred version always.
And did you go for? Did you give Shadow of Mordor a go?
Yes, I did. I played Middle-earth. I loved it. I thought it was really good. Still haven't played Shadow of War.
Okay, yeah.
But that is, that just takes the badassery to like a whole nother level. My second game, though, probably even more excited about it. Scarface, the World Is Yours.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. Hadn't played it till last year. Had heard about it. This and I think the Godfather video game are always like, oh, you gotta play them. They're so good. Like, it was the GTA like era where like everybody was trying to do their own like spin off of it.
Yeah, right.
So why not, I love Vice City, so why not play the one that takes place in actual Florida, where you can go and crush all these fucking cockroaches, Fuck, man, I loved that movie so much as a kid. Like,
Dude.
Yeah.
should not have been watching it when I did, 100%. But God, just that is to me peak like aesthetic of a movie. Like I could watch it with the sound off and just be like, this is amazing.
I know, but the sound adds so much.
Oh, yeah, no.
those
Yeah.
80s synths,
Yep.
and they're all over the place in that movie. It really pins down a time and a place very well.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And obviously Al Pacino, like, God,
Over the top.
fuck,
Love it.
Is the game? I mean, the game then does Al Pacino? Because I honestly I haven't played it. I now get some flashbacks of seeing it like running on well, not running, but seeing it in mags. But how did it play then?
It's really good. Like the gameplay itself is very like it basically instead of being about the movie, it takes place immediately after the movie. So like he gets shot, he falls in the pool, but he does not die.
Okay.
So then
He doesn't die.
He does not die.
That's artistic license.
That's like the whole beginning of the game
Nice.
is the entire shootout in the mansion, but then he doesn't die.
Oh, that's great. The mountains of cocaine have like given him Wolverine healing powers.
And so, like, basically the whole thing from the game then on is you taking back Miami bit by bit and getting revenge on all these motherfuckers who betrayed you. And it's so good. Like, there's basically a gameplay loop wherein you're trying to take control of different areas by buying businesses that then you use to, like, get money by them selling your cocaine. So you basically acquire cocaine from dealers, you put it in like a storage facility you acquire, and then you go on delivery missions to deliver cocaine to all your fronts. And that's how you get money to then go buy like upgraded cars. You buy like legal businesses that like give you like you can buy like a gym which like upgrades like different physical attributes. You can buy a law firm which makes it so like it's easier for you to bribe cops. You can buy like a recording studio, you know, like you do a bunch of different things like that. And then eventually what happens is you go out of Miami to like unnamed islands where like the Colombians have like their big distribution centers that you then try to take over as well. And it's just, you know, it's just super fun. You buy like a bunch of like a big part of it is also just buying shit. So like you buy different vehicles, you buy planes, you buy boats, you like upgrade your mansion. You can decorate it with like a bourbon fountain and like gold chairs and like it's really like it really plays into like the 80s like just opulence. Off the wallness of like being mega rich.
But how does that, I mean, it sounds incredible, but we're talking about a game from what, 2003, 4?
It must have been. It definitely was not like, 2006.
Oh, okay. Okay, so right at the end of the PS2.
Yeah, late release. The graphics are, you know, what you'd expect. The gameplay, the shooting is good because they mercifully give you like an auto aim thing. Like it's one of those where like if you point, it automatically locks onto a target and you shoot. You can manual aim as well. It also gives you bonuses for shooting people in different areas, including the testicles. That's like
I love that kind of detail.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't want to say that Al Pacino does the voice for it, but whoever does it does a really good job. Effort. If it's not him, and there's like a rage mechanic where you build up a meter, and if you activate it, he just goes into like blind rage, and he can just like kill everybody in like a single shot. Nice. And of course, he's shouting like Tony Montana shit as he's doing it. Which is great. It's just him. Like I can't even try to do one, but it's like I fucking shoot your mother or something like. Like it's amazing. So like the whole vibe of the game is very in line with the movie, which I love. It's like the unofficial Scarface sequel I always wanted.
Wow.
Yeah.
And who's the developer?
It's Radical Entertainment, published by Vivendi, and I think Sierra had like some thing to do in there. Maybe they published it in other territories.
And you say it kind of looks like a GTA, bit like Vice City then?
Yeah. I think I definitely think that was the aesthetic overall they were trying to hit.
But as you say, it's funny that one thing influences another, and then in turn influences it back. It's quite a funny triangle there.
Yeah, but another one that I'm like, if you can, and again, I think not that. I think this one's more expensive than Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, well,
but not
climbing.
Yeah, but not much more. I don't think maybe like $25.
Okay,
I think it might be a little bit more than that, but it's like not. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not going to put you in the poorhouse. Right?
Yeah,
you're not buying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll say that, and as I look it up, it'll be like $100 or something. I don't know how games work anymore.
I know, right?
No one knows.
It's hard to keep up.
But this is an interesting thing, Arnie. Sorry to cut you off. Interesting thing, this, because it happened a fair bit in the PS2 era of, I call it the PS2 era just out of habit.
Sure.
I know there were other consoles.
That's what it was. Let's not kid ourselves.
Let's not kid ourselves, yeah. It dominated. But there was these number of games, and the Warriors is the one that comes to mind as well, which are directly based on the movie, but they're like either a beginning of or the continuation of it. So really, because I definitely would count Scarface in this. Obviously, you brought it up now. I definitely would count it in, even though it's not the movie beat for beat. But there just doesn't seem to be anything like that from generations afterwards.
Yeah, it was a time to be alive, man. like for real. They were just going all out on this. And like I said, like the Warriors and I think The Godfather also had a PS2 game that I haven't played.
It did.
And there was Mafia and there
Starsky
was
and Hutch,
all these...
I think had a...
Yep. Starsky and Hutch
now we're getting to the dregs. I've heard Godfather's pretty good too.
I have as well. I think I have it, but I just haven't played it yet. But this one, like, I was expecting it to be okay, and it like exceeded expectations for me.
Interesting.
That's great.
And I mean, this is quite some time ago now, but how long of a game is it?
Not that long, I don't think. Paul knows I'm terrible with like lengths of games, but I want to say this one's like 30 hours maybe. Like
wow, dude, it's got to be shorter than that.
Just because, well, no, like if you're just doing the story, you probably breeze through it in like 8 to 10 or something. Like, but when you're doing all the side shit, like getting like, like killing gangs, it's like you'll spend a good chunk of change on it for sure.
So could we argue that this game influenced Yakuza 0 with the real estate minigame? Because it sounds quite similar. It sounds like.
I mean, I think Vice City also had something like this. It wasn't like tied into gameplay as much as Scarface is, but you could own like safe houses and stuff like that. Yakuza just made it mega cool because it was like Japanese and insane.
Nice.
But so those are two big ones, and then I just short form order on these ones. Like Disney's Aladdin was a classic from my childhood. SNES version, don't come at me with that Sega Genesis bullshit with your sword and whatnot.
The Genesis version was better. You heard me. The Genesis version was better.
No,
Arnie, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you.
I hate you both. It was much prettier because it was animated. But the SNES version will always be my favorite. Is the best. It was developed by Capcom, so Shinji Mikami worked on this one. I think he also worked on Goof Troop, which is another one that's like really good, but not based on a movie. But this one's just like a pure nostalgia bomb for me. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone on PS1. Great game. If you haven't seen it, look up the character models, specifically Hagrid and Voldemort. You won't be disappointed. It's fucking fantastic.
We did this on our break. Arnie made sure that I looked it up.
Yep.
And what a great character model. It looks like his face looks like the side of a mountain. Like it's so fantastic.
It's really the epitome of when I tell people like the PS1 era was so weird because it was that transition out of sprite-based and into polygonal graphics. And it was just like, man, you look at late era Super Nintendo games and they're just like, you could hang it in a fucking museum. And then you look at early PS1 games and you're like, we just never want to talk about this ever again. Like, it's just so bad.
No, I think I do want to talk about Hagrid some more.
Truly, like, just like what must have been like a 3D rendering of this poor man's face, like stretched over an area that's like twice as large as his actual face.
I'm gonna go into Photoshop and I'm gonna Photoshop like somebody bouldering a hill and just like put that on his face. And nobody will be able to tell the difference.
But it's actually a pretty good game, like all things considered. I remember it being very fun. It's like a sort of, I don't even want to say like open world-ish, but it's like a platformer where you explore like Hogwarts and the surrounding grounds. Yeah. And for a kid, like again, like young, watching Harry Potter, I was like, I get to go to Hogwarts and do all the fun things, learn all the spells, like, because they have you do like little quick time events for like different spells and stuff. You get to go to like potions class and like herbology or whatever. Like, I thought it was awesome.
I played this game super briefly. Another one of those younger kids, can you help me kind of experience games. Yeah, not many memories of it to be honest. And I was really anti Harry Potter in those days. I was like, Lord of the Rings is so much better. Harry Potter's for kids, and I'm 17 and I'm too old for Harry Potter. All of that. But I remember the thing I remember the most about this game is that they used it maybe in the US as well, but definitely in the UK on the back of the box for the redesign of the PS1.
Oh,
the small version. And this was like one of the games they were pimping out of like Harry Potter, check it out. And it's like a polygonal mess up of like Harry's face. And I was like, that ain't doing much for me, but plenty of kids are going to be after that, just such as yourself.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I think I got it for my birthday. A friend of mine gifted it to me, and we played a bunch of it, just like trading back and forth on the controller.
Yeah, and that was an EA game, right? Because I think EA had the license because it was big money.
EA
Yeah.
published it, and I have it up here. I think it was Argonaut Software did the development on that one. And I think they did a good job. The voices also were fantastic for one such as myself to hear the most ridiculous English accents for all these characters. That's the other beauty of it, Paul, is that like seeing the screenshot is hilarious. Seeing it speaking to you, even more so. like the full experience is in playing the game and watching Hagrid with some like I'm sure horrendous like English accent at the time tell you to like go find his hippogriff or whatever it was.
Nice.
And then to round it out, Lego Star Wars, like Traveler's Tales developed this one. Even though they like redesigned their logo, which I've always been mad about, like I think it's like TT Games or something that like their logo is bad. Like they had the best logo in the game and they just got rid of it for no reason. But no, the Lego Star Wars games are just fun because again, much like the Lord of the Rings games, it's like you can just play through the whole movie. But Lego Star Wars does it even better because it's like you can't die. So it's like just fun all the way through. And then it's like, what if you play the movie, but as like the trash droid from like Jabba's palace or something? Yeah. So I'm like 100% in on this. Like that's the best part of it for me is like unlocking all the characters and just playing as like, oh, me and my friend are going to play as like Lando Calrissian and Boba Fett. Like we're going to do like Hoth together. It's awesome. Like there's no part of that sentence that doesn't make me smile.
Yeah. It was a shockingly good game at the time. Because I remember seeing it and think Lego Star Wars, come exactly. on now. That's just silliness, right? But then I had friends coming up to me and being like, "Hey, this game's really good. It's like surprising. You can pick Chewbacca and pull arms off of other like off of stormtroopers and stuff, and it's actually a lot of fun." And it turns out, like when I played it, I was like, holy shit, I can't believe this. This is like legitimately good.
Mm-hmm. I'm now lost with Lego Star Wars as to which one should I play.
Well, this is the problem now. It's all oversaturated, right?
Yeah. But I think for the Wii, they had the complete saga. I think the Xbox 360 and the PS3 may have gotten it as well.
So the complete saga being which episodes 1 to 6?
1 through 6. 1 through 6.
Right.
So the prequels and the OG trilogy. And every game just has like such an insane amount of characters. Like characters that like barely appear on screen. Like but that's the best part of it, is just like...
Kind of is, actually,
it's just like unlocking some character, be like, who the hell? Like, okay, I guess I'm going to play as the Twi'lek dancer now. Like, that's going to be me for the next, like, 30 levels. And very funny games, too. Like, they recreate all the scenes, but silent because none of these characters talk. And there's a lot of, like, really funny physical comedy to them. Yep. I remember enjoying a lot as a kid.
It always felt like a series, especially, I mean, with the Jurassic Park games and the Indiana Jones as well. It's a game that's brilliant for adults and their kids to play together. You know, I know I've got some colleagues have always, I kind of, think, well, Paul, you have to play Lego Star Wars or Lego Jurassic World games. But actually, I think deep down, we all know they're just a bit of fun, which is all you want. And I've always felt like with those Lego games, they just, like the developers just seem to really have that understanding of the imagination that kind of plays through your mind when you have Lego in your hand and how you want to just thrash around with it. It's a really, I mean, Lego as a brand is had its ups and downs over the years. It keeps expanding. Then because I've got a friend who's Danish and he's always giving me updates. Oh yeah, Lego, they're shrinking. They spent too much on Lego on the Star Wars franchise. They're not making enough money. But then suddenly 2 years later, they're suddenly releasing everything Star Wars again and all of this stuff.
Yeah, Lego can't die. I would hope that the Danish government would prop that company up.
I reckon so.
I would too.
Yeah, absolutely, they would. So Arnie, thanks so much for going through going through your games.
That's it. Childhood in a nutshell. Everything from Legos to Lord of the Rings.
What we're going to do is we're going to take another quick break, and then we'll be back, and Paul is going to be looking at lining up his stars for Hollywood. Welcome back. Here we go. Paul, your turn is up. Which blockbusters are you going to put forward for rental?
Well, it's going to have to be pretty short because Arnie just took up half of our show with his. He has no sense of time. So.
Nothing but podcast gold in those 35 minutes.
We're very well paced. Arnie left it off with Lego Star Wars. I'll go with Super Star Wars for the SNES, including obviously Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
Oh, sorry, all three super games.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Super Empire Strikes Back and Super Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Man, that was, aside from maybe the number 64, the worst naming convention ever. Because, like, if you're going through an alphabetical list of Super Nintendo games hoping to find a specific game, good fucking luck. Because half the games start with the word super. It drives me nuts.
At least in 50 years' time, if you say, have you played the game Super? And they go, it was on the SNES, wasn't it? And they go, yeah. There we go. No? Is that not enough?
I think before I listen to what you have to say, I need you to tell me what is your favorite Star Wars movie so I can take in your comments with the designated amount of respect.
Excellent question.
It has to be Empire Strikes Back, right?
All right, we're good.
Yeah.
We can go. I thought maybe you would have been one of these Return of the Jedi freaks, like that.
No,
exists.
like there's nothing wrong with those.
No.
But yeah, like Empire Strikes Back, even as a kid, like Han Solo and the Carbonite, like I was terrified for him. I was like, oh my god, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's really and it holds up pretty well too.
Yep.
Yeah,
it had a great blend of action, heroism, jeopardy, a dark ending, Darth Vader. It has most.
And Luke good stuff. Falling and the whole thing,
And Billy D. Williams as Lando Calrissian, the coolest motherfucker to ever live.
It's awesome.
That said, Arnie, just before you respect me, understand that I do hold The Last Jedi very high. And I think that people who don't like The Last Jedi have no idea what a good movie is.
Is that
every complaint I hear about The Last Jedi?
That's the one where Luke milks the little animal.
I know.
Yeah.
Can we just kind of get off of that already and concentrate on how visually stunning this movie is?
We can't.
And how it takes the Star Wars formula and finally moves it away from fucking Skywalkers into like a new era.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I also have to have my respect checked because I really did enjoy Solo. I thought Solo was very fun.
It was fun, dude. What's wrong with Solo? You're expecting what? I think it was a victim of expectation, honestly. It's a fun little romp.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It was, but it wasn't, it wasn't Harrison Ford, and nobody's ever going to be Harrison Ford, so like
it's tough.
Fair. It is a tough act to follow.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was good for what it was. Anyway, wow. Here I am trying to hurry up after dissing Arnie for.
Come on.
But yeah, I busted out Super Star Wars last night on the Super NT, which I just hooked up.
Ooh,
just to kind of see. Yeah, it looks better even than I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I played through it a little bit just to kind of see if it was as good as I remember. It is as good as I remember, and also fucking hard as hell.
I was gonna say,
this
you enjoy punishing yourself, clearly.
Oh my god, man! Like the very first level boss, like the Sarlacc pit. I'm like, there's just no way to avoid. He reaches out with his tentacles, like trying to hug you, and there's just no way to avoid it. I'm just getting killed and firing with my blaster. Oh my lord, that was the first level. But still, actually, really good game.
Yeah.
Controls well. I remember really enjoying it as a kid. The whole Star Wars integration, actually, I think is what makes it very special.
Yeah.
Because it has all the music from the Star Wars movies. They're integrated at the right time. It has the opening with the scrolling words kind of moving in that weird 3D way. There's a word for it, but I don't remember what it is. We all know what I'm talking about. So it kind of screen. Yeah, so it kind of integrates the actual movie into it quite well.
Tries, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it holds up. I'm probably going to play it later today. I'll probably hate myself again. Because there was definitely swearing during the game. I was like, motherfucker, what? How am I supposed to blah 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 blah? And eventually you win, but it's like, oh my lord.
But did you really win at that point?
Well, I mean, did I beat the game? No. Am I ever going to beat the game? Almost certainly not. Even with save states, man. That's a tough nut to crack.
Well, there's the old passwords for those games if you really need help, but
yes,
it's tough. I found just playing it again, if I just want to play it casually, which I do every so often on around May time, is when you're in the actual Jawa's
the sandcrawler or whatever.
The sandcrawler. And there's so many places of instant death.
Yeah.
Just like this. I mean, it's.
You mean instant fun, Geoff?
Sorry. Yeah. Good times for everyone, but. I really enjoyed the sand speeder stages with the bit of the Mode 7 going on. It felt like they were really pushing a lot of the technical capabilities of the SNES. But as you say, but they just, especially, I've only properly played Super Star Wars. I haven't played Empire or Return because everyone just said they get harder as they go on. Like, I'm not even going to bother. And they're like $300, so I'm not even going to bother with that. Even though so side tangent, the Japanese Super Famicom boxes are incredible.
Yeah, they are great.
Incredible. So I always love them for that, but they are crazy expensive. But yeah, just as much as I enjoyed Super Star Wars, I didn't put it in my list. Just that you say that difficulty is such a barrier for me.
Yeah,
it's
always,
really. I was just gonna say it always sucks when there's a good game that you can't experience more of because it's so fucking hard.
Yeah. It's really about the presentation.
Yeah,
because it is unlike a lot of Star Wars games. Like, it really is a very direct injection of the movie into your veins, via video game form. You know what I mean? Like, I can play X-Wing or TIE Fighter on PC from back in the day. Those are better games by almost any measure. Not that Super Star Wars is bad, but it's just that TIE Fighter is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it doesn't have music right from the movies. It doesn't have characters from the movies. So that's the itch that Super Star Wars scratches. So I think it's fun. It's very difficult, but it is fun even in spite of that. And the other game I think that's pretty good, and I spoiled it at the beginning of the episode, Robin Hood Prince of Thieves for the NES.
I've heard of this one, never played it.
You know what? It's pretty good. And I remember even as a kid being surprised that it was pretty good. It was a buddy of mine who got it for Christmas, probably from a well-meaning aunt. And I borrowed it, and he's like, it's not bad. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And then I played it, I'm like, holy shit, this isn't bad. It's this weird kind of genre mashup that actually works. And I mean, funnily enough, like, same developer as Super Star Wars, Sculptured Software. When I found that out, I was like, huh. All right, well, I guess, I mean, they're consistent. They make good movie games. They're one of the few people. But yeah, most of the game is played sort of like in this overhead Zelda kind of view, but obviously looks better than Zelda because it came out like 6 years later, right?
And this is the Kevin Costner movie, right?
It's the Kevin Costner movie. Right. His character portrait in the game, I don't know if they had like an issue getting sign-off from Costner or something like that. Most definitely not Kevin Costner's portrait.
Definitely not. I saw some screenshots before, and I was like, "Wow, I don't recognize any of those characters."
No. But with that said, you know, the overhead Zelda parts are okay.
Yep.
You know, there's always going to be kind of a limitation on fun when you have that style of game. At least in my opinion. Some people like that kind of thing. I'm not the biggest fan.
Yeah.
But what really does it is it has these sections that kind of break that monotony up. It has a legitimately not bad Street Fighter 2 kind of sword fighting simulator / minigame in it, which is kind of how you fight the bosses. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
The characters move around well. You have a roll button, so your guy does like heroic rolls, and then you poke with your sword forward.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually kind of fun.
Yeah.
Huh.
There's a Battletoads speeder stage, but with horses.
Yeah,
So
that
you're
is
getting-
awesome.
Yeah, you're getting chased by the sheriff's men,
That's cool.
and you have to jump over big rocks.
Yeah.
And it's not nearly as frustrating as the Battletoads. It's pretty...
Yeah.
It's not meant to be super difficult. You kind of jump over the rocks, and it looks cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another part, which is almost like... It's so weird. It's like this combination Gauntlet, but RTS in the same kind of
Right.
game, where you get attacked by a whole bunch. Like, there's sections in the game where you get attacked by tons and tons of the sheriff's men.
Yeah.
And then it changes to like this overhead view with much smaller sprites.
Mm-hmm.
And you start like shooting guys with your bow and arrow. Really,
Okay.
again, really small. But then the other members of the Merry Men will also kind of fight the enemies off to the side.
Interesting.
So it has like this, I don't want to call it an epic feel,
Yeah.
but again, like it manages to convey the large scale battles
Mm-hmm.
in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you're not going to be able to have the Zelda clone kind of doing that. It's not going to work, right?
Yeah.
Because then you're making a Musou game, and you have to wait 20 years to get to the PS2
Yeah.
in order to do that. So the best way for them to convey that is via this weird kind of like mini game on the NES, and it all
Interesting.
works. Yeah, it follows the movie's plot. Not 100%, but more than enough
Yeah.
in a way that makes sense as a movie tie-in. Because
Yep.
we've mentioned it, right? Like I don't know if we mentioned it on the show or on the break when we were chatting, but like, there's tons of these movie games where it's just nominally
Mm-hmm.
based on the movie. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
Total
loose.
Recall, again, or Lethal Weapon, just so I cannot talk about Total Recall for the 20th time on this
Yeah.
show. But like Lethal Weapon for the NES has almost nothing to do with the movie, right? Like, it starts off in a forest level,
Yeah.
which, it doesn't, whatever. But Robin Hood actually ties in.
Yeah.
And yeah, I recommend it. If you want to take a step into the time machine and play a not bad movie game on the NES.
I have
How does
a.
I was
Sorry,
just gonna
Arnie, go
ask,
for your question.
What
Yeah.
is okay? So, what do you think of the movie? Is that a movie that you enjoyed?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think it's still pretty good. I think Kevin Costner eats a lot of shit for his English accent, and rightfully so. But I mean, if you can get past that
Yeah.
and not have super high expectations, it's just a fun
Exactly.
medieval romp,
Got it,
right?
yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
With a
it's-
loosely based on a legend, on a myth.
yeah.
The reason I
It's
was
the
asking,
solo of Robin Hood.
yeah, the reason I was asking is because I was wondering if this was the rare instance where the movie wasn't that good and the game actually is better than watching the movie.
I would say they are on par with each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the movie was all like when I was a kid. The movie was Arnie, you would know better. It was huge.
It was huge.
The Bryan Adams song was on radio every 5
Yeah.
minutes. I think it was number one over here for like half the year. It was just
Oh, definitely over here.
definitely
Yeah.
Canada. Yeah, jeez.
Yeah. No,
Good old
Canada had
Bryan.
a gigantic erection for Bryan Adams, for sure.
It was the summer of '69 forever.
It was. But it's one of those movies where I rewatched it not too long ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't as good as I remember." Because as a kid, I didn't really care too much about Costner's
Yeah.
accent. But
Yeah.
watching it back and like Christian Slater, I was like, "Really? This is what they thought." I mean, they wouldn't do it now. I don't think. I think well, Russell Crowe was
Now
Robin
they get
Hood in the
Russell
last one.
Crowe.
Yeah, well, I guess it's halfway towards being British or English. But I actually like the inclusion of Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, me too.
Alan, a good old, God rest his soul, Alan Rickman
Yep.
was a fantastic sheriff. It's all a bit bizarre because it's all a bit magical, but so what? But it was the movie was massive. So interesting that the game was good.
I think the only Robin Hood movie I've ever watched is Men in Tights.
Which takes the piss
probably the best one of
which
all.
I love. Yes, it is.
I think
so
he takes
good.
the piss out of his accent in it as well, doesn't he? This is like one of the
probably
lines
does.
is about laughing about Costner's accent. Yeah. That's decent.
But yeah,
That's a
Arnie,
decent
watch
movie.
it.
Yes.
It is campy fun.
Yeah,
is
I'm
what it
here
is.
for
Yeah.
that all day.
How about you, Jeff? Give me some good ones.
Oh, this is okay. So it's my turn. I mean, I'm actually gonna. Why not? I'll just kick it off with my Star Wars pick.
There we go.
Favorite movie. I always end up with Empire, but
Sure.
Return is super close. It's just the thing that pulls down Return versus Empire is the Ewoks generally.
Okay.
Just because an Ewok village is able to take out an Empire a bit.
You're not
It's a little
pro
bit-
Ewok.
It's funny. I never had a problem with the Ewoks until the Ewoks cartoon, and that cartoon was so bad
Yeah.
that I would go back to Return of the Jedi and like I retconned my feelings for them.
I think there was a couple of Ewok live action movies too, weren't there? Like straight
the
to
Battle of Endor.
VHS. Yeah,
Battle of Endor.
That's
yeah,
right.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus, I didn't know about that.
Yep.
Classic.
We should watch them on stream sometime.
They're kids movies. Don't worry.
So good.
So yeah, I think the one thing that I could deal with a lot of George Lucas changes when he re-released the movies, but when he took out the Jub Jub song from the end and replaced it with generic movie music,
Yeah.
I was really disappointed.
Isn't that also
Oh, yeah,
the
man.
point where no, that probably happened afterwards, but didn't they eventually like when Luke sees the ghost of like Yoda and Ben Kenobi and Darth Vader, didn't they like edit it so it was
It's Hayden. Yeah.
Christian Haydenson?
Mhm.
That was fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's
Christian Haydenson, eh there, Arnie?
Oh god, what the fuck's his name?
Hayden Christensen.
Hayden Christensen.
I was like, well,
Yeah.
I'll let him hang out there for a while.
Paul, edit that out. Make me sound smart.
Yeah, I'll do that.
So my game pick for Star Wars is over on the GameCube for Rogue Leader.
Of course.
Mhm.
Of course.
What
A game I have and have not yet played, even though I love Rogue
dude.
Squadron on the
It's
N64.
so good. It's so good. Every time a new Star Wars movie comes
Yeah.
out and I'm hyped to see it in theaters, I make myself more hyped by playing Rogue Leader. Like that, it's my
I've
go-to
popped
for
it in,
pre-movie
and
hype.
I've looked at like the opening cinematics and stuff, and it's gorgeous. Like
Yeah.
I don't know
Oh,
how they
man.
got that out of the GameCube.
It's
Marvelous.
incredible. It was
Yeah.
a launch title. I couldn't
Yeah.
believe it. Couldn't believe it when I booted it up. I
Yeah.
thought it blew anything I had on the PS2 away.
Yeah,
Graphically, LucasArts were just what they did. Well, level 5.
yeah,
Level 5? Yeah. Just unbelievable. You just, as soon as you enter the menu screen and you've got movie clips playing as you're going through the menus, you're like, wait a minute, you can feel like you're playing something special here.
yeah.
And then as soon as you get into the levels and you get into the, like, it's all the classic missions like Level of Hoth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so tight. The gameplay is so tight. The missions are pretty brutal in some places.
Yeah.
I think some of the missions where you've got to take B-Wings and you've got to destroy, I don't know, unobtainium deposits and all that sort of stuff. Unobtainium.
Yes.
There's a movie reference. Bloody hell. Those missions got brutal. I'm not
Yeah.
too sure how difficult the N64 game was, but this game gets tough.
Yeah. Yeah, the N64 game was also like that, where like the first few missions generally not that bad, and then some of the later ones were pretty hard from what I remember.
Yeah.
It also didn't help that you had to use an N64 controller. There's my little
There's it.
dig at that. But the thing I remember about the N64 one is there was like a specific password you could enter that unlocked the Naboo Starfighter, if I'm remembering correctly.
Oh, cool.
And that thing was like incredibly overpowered.
The new movie toy has got to be strong.
Yep.
Yeah, it's true.
So this game had mad hype at the time. Like before the console came out, it was like the game is as good as the movie when it came to graphics. Obviously, that's how he felt maybe a little bit, not so
Yeah.
so there. But it was the opening level when you have to do the Death Star run.
Yep.
It was short mission, but Paul, you're shaking your head just like I am.
I know, it's
just
so
incredible,
good.
isn't it?
It's so good. It's the best trench run, because you do trench runs in like half the Star Wars games out there.
I think ever since there's probably on the Atari you could do the trench run, right?
On the arcade game, I know you could. That was
Definitely on the arcade.
And you do it on X-Wing on the PC. You
but
can
that's
do it on
like,
Star
but
Wars
that
on the
is
SNES.
but that is the moment that everybody has always been
Sure.
trying to recreate, like, as
And they give it to you
I
on
mean,
the
that
first
and
level.
like fighting
Yeah.
like lightsaber duels. Those are the two Star Wars things that people
Yes.
always want.
Yes.
Exactly.
But yeah, for Rogue Leader, it just drops you, and it's the best. It's the best version of the trench run, in my opinion.
Yeah. So there, I think if anyone out there hasn't played and they have this game and they have a GameCube, Jesus, Arnie, you need to.
I know, it's
stick this
so
in
cheap
immediately.
too, man.
right
Like
there. I got it.
super
Super cheap.
affordable.
Yep.
Yeah.
Next up is a franchise we haven't yet come on to. And quick side tangent. The game that came out on the PS4 for this scared the hell out of me.
Yes. I know where you're going. This is awesome.
And I'm picking one of my childhood favorite movie games is Alien 3 on the SNES.
A movie that you probably should not have been watching as a child.
No.
Okay, Mom. Pipe down there.
That's your version of Scarface.
Yeah. I think I mean Aliens. So when I was a kid, Aliens was the movie that got you into the series because it's mostly guns, and you could get away with it. It's not as the first movie is petrifying for a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
Gee, I couldn't watch it. My brother could watch it at 10, and I was 7 years old. No chance.
Yeah, no.
But so Alien 3 on the SNES, very different to the Mega Drive game. Which played more like the Sega Master System game, which was level by level. You have to rescue prisoners in the colony, and you have to kind of escape each set. Whereas the SNES version was mission based, so you have 4 stages full of missions that you need to do. And none of the missions are necessarily tied to the movie. Really, it's very different to the movie, but the setting is there. You have the guns from the second movie. Because Alien 3, there are no guns. In the movie, because it's that was one of the big things that she had to defeat an alien without weapons. Which is, I think Alien 3 is vastly underrated. I think Alien 3 is an excellent movie.
Yeah, it had the poor luck of following up Alien and Aliens.
Exactly, and it didn't have either Ridley Scott or James Cameron. Two massive sci-fi directors, suddenly it's like it's being left to a newbie, and it was a shame. But it didn't get I feel like Alien 3 is actually I think the director's cut is really good. But and it's got lots of British actors in it who are like over here really well established actors, and a lot of them even turn up in Game of Thrones. So that's how good they are.
Yeah, and it's got H.R. Giger aesthetic. Like, I'm a sucker for all that stuff, all xenomorph stuff. Like, one of the best movie villains ? I guess.
Sure.
Of all
Why
times,
not?
like
Yeah.
on par with any movie monster, scarier than most. Honestly.
Yeah,
For sure.
I mean, it's just a shame that what's happened to the Alien franchise itself. It's kind of just been it's been buried, unfortunately.
You didn't like Prometheus? Didn't do it for you? The tight story with no holes?
No, it didn't
I
quite
was
do it for me. And
I was
Covenant
on board until they wouldn't turn left to get away from the giant rolling thing that was going to kill them.
Yeah. No,
Don't remind me of that. Charlie Frohman, you
man.
deserve better. You deserve better.
But yeah, Alien 3 for the SNES, I am all about that. I remember renting it back in the day, bringing it home, and just being shocked, really. You know what I mean? Because like you rent the game, $2.50, $3, and it's like, we'll see what happens. And you don't really expect much from a movie game. And I was enthralled with Alien 3. Like, it really it does well enough to replicate the aesthetic. And the gameplay is good.
Absolutely.
It's kind of typical side-scrolling, Metroid-ish, Turrican, kind of stuff. But it works. It's not quite as I don't know. It's not quite as Contra. Like it is. There's not like the super run and gun.
No.
Yeah.
But the pacing is good. I really like it.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like the environments. So you got to imagine. So there's basically it's I wouldn't call it an open world at all, but you do have like a starting screen, which is like the corridors of the prison, and each door will take you into a different part. So there'll be like a medic ward. There'll be the outdoor ward where she first finds Bishop in the movie. There'll be where bizarrely a queen is laying eggs. All sorts of just weird stuff that is not connected to the movie at all. But it's all has a load of atmosphere.
Yes.
And the music is intense.
Great music.
Then you have the motion tracker, which also always gives you that extra little bit of concern whenever there's aliens.
Yeah.
The alien screams are good. I mean, the sound effects are pretty spot on for a 16-bit console.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes advantage of what the SNES could do. And this was by Probe. And Probe are major on hit and miss games. They really struggle. I mean, another game I had on this list, which I'm not going to talk about because I realised we spoke about it in favourite crap games, is Die Hard Trilogy. Probe did that as well. But yeah, this is probably for me one of Probe's best efforts. It's a really solid game. It's tough as hell.
Yeah.
I always needed the passwords to get to the fourth level. But also after a while, the thing that kind of always held it back for me was it would be a mission of you need to go and weld point A and point B to stop the oxygen from leaking. Okay, you do that. Next mission is you need to destroy these eggs. Next mission is you need to save these prisoners. And you go, okay, cool. No, these are cool missions. And then you get to stage 2 and it's you need to weld these vents shut. You know, right? You need to save these prisoners. Right? You need to blow up these eggs. Okay, I see where this is heading. And it just got progressively harder because there's just a million face huggers coming at you or baby aliens coming at you. Like, all right, here we go. So this is well worth playing. I think Alien Isolation, the game I mentioned at the start. I need to give it another go because it's meant to be an excellent sequel to Alien.
Yep. Too spooky for me.
Is it too spooky for you? I struggled. And Alien's too intelligent for me. I need to ramp down the difficulty, otherwise I haven't got a chance. But it felt like there was a moments where it felt like this is what it would be like being hunted down by an alien. Like you've got no chance. You've literally got no chance. So you need to. It does force you to get good.
Yeah.
So the next one I wanted to bring up was. And we brought it up actually a little bit on the Rareware episode. And I just want to give it a shout just because it deserves it.
Yep.
But I got to say GoldenEye 007 on the S64.
Sure.
It's obvious, but probably the best movie license game I think ever made.
It's got to be up there.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah, I think you're right.
For sure. Also, did we ever talk favorite Bonds on here?
No.
Oh, Pierce Brosnan all day.
You're a Brosser fan, are you?
I'm a Brosnan head. Yeah.
Which movie then of his stands out?
Oh man, for me personally, probably The World Ends with You because it was the one I saw the most.
Is that the one with Denise Richards?
I think so. What was the one with Halle Berry? Was that Die Another Day?
That was the one that he ended up in like some sort of ice hotel, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and like a laser from space, and
And GoldenEye is always special because the part where Sean Bean dies, where he falls onto that big satellite dish, that's in Puerto Rico.
Oh, is it?
Sweet.
Yes,
cool.
That satellite has collapsed last year because of nobody was maintaining it.
Oh, geez.
We're really good at things. We do good work.
What about yourself, Paul?
I couldn't really point. I haven't seen enough of them to like have a big favorite, and I grew up with the Roger Moore stuff.
Yeah.
So I know that those aren't looked on very fondly, but I mean, I really liked Octopussy.
I was gonna say that was Moonraker, right?
And Moonraker because
they got some great
Jaws
endings. Those
like,
movies. Yeah.
So I'm kind of partial to those. I've seen most of the Daniel Craig ones.
Yeah, me too.
I really liked Casino Royale.
Yep.
Good movie.
You know, the torture scene where he's sitting in the chair.
Oh,
Like,
God.
you just feel it. You just feel it. It's so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of
Recommend listeners look up that scene if you don't know what we're
I
talking
don't
about.
recommend it. Yeah, if you don't want to squirm where you're sitting.
Yeah. I mean, being the Brit of the group, I guess, you know, 007 James Bond, it's an institution over here,
Sure.
which is why everyone has an opinion about the direction that they're looking at taking 007 and James Bond, with Daniel Craig doing his last movie. Everyone seems to be a bit worried.
Didn't he say he was doing his last movie like 2 movies ago?
I think so. They always do that, the Bond guys. But my favourite Bond is Timothy Dalton.
Really? Okay.
What's interesting about Timothy Dalton was that he was mostly a villain in the movies he's in, and then suddenly he's the hero.
Yeah.
But he's a very gritty, real Bond before Craig took over. So my favourite Bond is Dalton, but actually my favourite movie is Casino Royale. I just thought it was an excellent movie.
Yeah,
it really
especially
is.
the beginning where he's beating the guy up in the bathroom and then turns to shoot him, and it goes into the awesome music from Chris Cornell. God rest his soul.
Yeah.
So, you know, top movie. But yeah,
No Sean Connery pick. Shocked.
I know, right? All three of us.
Pleasantly surprised.
I really there's some of the movie obviously where he goes to Japan and gets married in the 60s. I love watching that movie, and I hate that I can't remember the name of the movie. But just seeing, what I love about those Connery movies is just seeing those different locations in that time period.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and Connery was a fantastic actor. So better than the movies are better than, like, I think he's a better Bond than Moore. But as a kid, the Moore movies were fun.
Yeah, they were.
having Christopher Walken go, "It's a perfect view to a kill." So it doesn't mean anything. But okay, view to a kill. It's a view to a kill. Why not?
Honestly, I think that's why. I mean, Brosnan was Bond when I was growing up watching Bond, so that's why I like him. But I feel like they straddle a good line of like peak ridiculousness, which I enjoy. And also, like, it's believable to me that he would seduce these women as opposed to, like, Sean Connery in some of these instances where I'm like, I don't know, dude, like...
Sean Connery, he was, I mean, in his 30s, he was,
yes.
He was dapper, that guy. Jeez.
Give me Remington Steele any day.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't really feel like I need to say too much about the game. It was the FPS that I hated, but I secretly loved. A game that I would happily play today, very happily play today. Not multiplayer, obviously. Get my ass kicked, but I mean, it's something that it put Rare on the map, like we discussed in the other episode. So congratulations to them. So the games that I just wanted to give a shout out to that I really enjoyed. There's 2 arcade games actually in this list, and it's purely for the fact that they both came with guns.
Yep.
And that was a Terminator 2 from Midway and Aliens.
Yep.
Yeah.
These are machines when I go into an arcade, which doesn't really happen anymore. But if these cabinets are there, they're pretty much the first ones I go to.
Yeah.
As long as the gun's got the recoil and it sounds as plastic as it should do, then I'm in heaven.
Yeah, T2 is classic.
Yeah.
I know. We just mentioned it on the last episode too.
Yep,
yeah.
we did.
Oh, excellent. Oh, you see. And then as I said, I think it was Die Hard Trilogy. I mentioned that. And then just a quick shout. There's 2 games actually. I'm not too sure if either of you 2 have played. It's Chronicles of Riddick, which
I have
gets
it.
a lot
I have
of
not
hype.
played it. I've heard it's really good.
I've heard it's really good too. And same as you, Arnie, I haven't played it.
Yep.
And then there's The Warriors, which
I did play a little bit of The Warriors, and I really enjoyed it. It's got that. They take the style of GTA, but they made it their own, and it really does bring like a unique experience to it that's very fun.
Yeah.
And that's just it's a fucking good movie. Like,
cult. Brilliant. So, I mean, we've gone through our picks. We're going to take a break just to have a bit of a refresh, and then we'll come back to tie up the credits. So, catch you then. Okay, so here we go, guys. We are back. We're going to be going through a little bit of a roundup of some honourable mentions. Well, what we want to do
Some
here
of our
is
dishonourable mentions.
dishonourable.
There we go.
That's a better word for it. There have been, I think it's fair to say, a lot of shit games brought out in the name of movies, and many a movie which has been disparaged by many a developer and publisher. But there's too many to list. So what we're going to do is we're going to give one shout each to the game that we feel needs to be known just for how bad we think it is. So we're going to go with original order. Arnie, what's your pick?
It's gotta be. Everybody knows about it. It's gotta be Lion King on the Genesis. God fucking damn that goddamn game, dude. Like, it was so perfect because I was like, I'm a kid. I love Disney. Love The Lion King. Great fucking movie.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, Disney is, I played Aladdin. I was like, Aladdin's great. Disney must only make great fucking games. And I play this game. It's so brutally hard. So insanely difficult. And it's not like Super Star Wars where it just like kicks you in the face right at the beginning. So you're like, oh, okay, this game's just hard all the way through. You can actually get through like the first couple stages, and then you get to the stage where you're riding on the back of like an ostrich or something, and you have to avoid obstacles. It's impossible. Yeah. I've never done it. I don't believe that it can be done. I think they didn't program anything past that stage.
It doesn't exist. It's just impossible. A blank.
Yeah.
They just,
This fucking just so many memories of me and my Sega Nomad, because I did not own a Genesis.
Yeah.
Like, just throttling this thing. Like, trying not to throw it at a wall because it probably would have cracked the foundation of the house if I had done that. But just so mad. Just so livid. And it was like sandwiched between like The Adventures of Mighty Max, which is another game that I was terrible at and it was bad. But then eventually I got
talk fondly about Mighty Max.
I mean, I love it because it's my childhood, but that game is bad.
Yeah.
The game sucks. But then eventually I got like Batman and Robin or something, which was good. And I was like happy again. But The Lion King is like nothing but just dying over and over again. Just watching baby Simba just be murdered continuously.
Man, it's so funny because Disney did make good games.
Yeah.
Almost universally good games.
This was Westwood Studios, I think, developed in collab with Disney, published by Virgin.
Damn.
Yeah, there's some decent names behind it. Yeah.
Yeah. Too bad it's fucking terrible.
It's impossible.
I just say, I think the big, even I remember at the time, because Aladdin was such a good game, people enjoyed it so much. Everyone was hoping The Lion King. I think most kids would have gotten it for Christmas just because, Lion King.
Yeah.
I picked up a cart recently for that same thing. Oh, the soldier. Oh, yeah, Lion King. I never really knew if it was good or bad. Oh, my God, the platforming is temperamental to say the least.
Yeah.
I don't know how any kid could have got through that game. At least, as you say, in comparison, at least Super Star Wars is in your face difficult and you just have to kind of get good. This is just unfairly difficult and is not enjoyable at all.
This is bad.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah, that's one thing I can say in Super Star Wars' favor. I never felt like it was unfair.
Yeah.
It was just difficult.
Yeah. It puts it out on Front Street. It's like, this game is hard. You should,
Exactly. Lion King's a kid's game. You should be able to get through it. It's not fair.
Lion King. Jesus.
You should at least be able to get to be grown up Simba. At
yes.
Least at least
that's
get
all
to that
I
point.
wanted as a kid. I just want to be Big Simba. He looks so cool.
So Paul, what's your pick?
Well, because Arnie wasted so much of our time earlier, it's kind of.
No,
I want to talk about a couple, but
dude,
now we have to,
because there's one of them that I need you to talk about.
Okay, because I've got a couple here, and I'll see if I pick the one that Arnie wants me to talk about. You know what? Shout out to Rocky on the Sega Master System. That game, what a back of the box all-star that game is. Because you look at the back of the box for that game, and you're like, oh my god, this looks incredible. Mm-hmm. And it was a 2 meg cartridge, not a 1 meg cartridge. So much like Space Harrier, it just looked really good.
Yeah.
And the game is just a disaster of button mashing. It's just button mashing, and more button mashing.
That's a classic AVGN like episode. That's like a
Oh my
2008
God.
episode.
Did you?
Yeah, it's and the worst part about it is when you look at your friend who has an NES and Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
I was
Yeah.
going to say, did you get this after you'd played Punch-Out, or was this?
I never owned it as a kid, thankfully.
Okay.
Right, so I didn't have to deal with that shame. I picked Space Harrier instead, thank God.
Ah,
Okay.
But yeah,
Choice.
like knowing that Rocky was available and then seeing Mike Tyson's Punch Out, oh man,
Yeah.
it's like night and day.
Not in day.
But honestly,
Absolutely.
like my favorite pick for best bad game is a game
yes.
that I haven't even played.
Yeah.
Just watching videos of it fucking makes me laugh so hard. I'll revisit it like once a year or something and just watch. And that's Jurassic Park Trespasser.
Yes.
Like,
Oh God.
God damn, this game. Like,
So
what
bad.
probably the most spectacular failure of ambition in a game that I've ever seen. Because you have former Looking Glass Studios guys. Like, these are people who worked on System Shock and
Yeah.
Ultima Underworld.
Yeah.
Groundbreaking games, right?
Yeah.
And they have this idea to make like a physics-based FPS. And, you know, it's all very, it's again, ambitious, right? And then you look at the game. Oh man, it's just that the floating arm in front,
Yep.
it, like,
Because
it
it's
all
first
starts-
person.
it's first person, but like you have your floating right arm manipulating objects,
Yep.
and the right arm has no relation to your body.
Yep.
It's just like it's just floating out there. And when you move your arm from side to side, because it employs physics like ragdoll physics,
Yeah.
Mhm.
like your wrist twists. So like when you're holding a gun and trying to aim the gun, yeah, you can also hold it like a gangster. But like if you move your arm from side to side, the gun looks like you're waving a flag because your wrist is so limp. It fucking looks ridiculous. Like you can't. It's very difficult to aim. Your health bar, like I guess they wanted to keep the HUD as pristine.
The
as
health bar is my
possible.
favorite part of the entire
Like,
game.
oh my god, the health bar is a tattoo on the character's breasts. So in order to see your health, you have to look down into your cleavage. And depending on how much of this heart tattoo is filled in, that is your... Geoff is looking at me like he can't believe it. Geoff, believe it. It's
How-
unreal. Like
just so I get an idea, what year was this game?
1998.
1998 breasts, right?
They existed back then, I assure you.
Yeah, on PC form. Oof. Okay.
Yeah, man. It not pretty, but
it's
like
it's like clearly what they were trying to do. I mean, I don't know what they were trying to do, to be honest with you, but like it seems to me they were trying to like make it like sort of a clean HUD, like nothing of this. And so like they were like, oh, this will be great. But what ends up happening is that literally every time anything happens in the game, you just have to like force the camera down
yeah.
just to like look and see how like alive you are.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous.
What
And so, like-
rating did this game have?
T, I think.
Oh yeah, probably
Oh,
T for
teen.
teen. If
Yeah.
I was to guess, they couldn't make a Jurassic Park game, man.
I have to think, like, just because I'm just picturing the character model is just like a torso with like a floating arm and like the head just down,
Cleavage.
looking at its own chest, like wandering around the world.
It's so fantastic. Like the awkwardness with which you manipulate objects in the world. Again, this is like I understand what they were trying to do because this kind of thing hadn't really been attempted in
Yeah.
a game before, like stacking boxes that are actual objects and so on with
Mhm.
real-time physics. But like basically with the mouse, you kind of move your arm forward, you hold the right click in order to grab an object, and it just kind of sticks to your hand and then moves. So if you go on YouTube, you can see scenes where the main character's on a basketball court and she tries to pick up a basketball. It's like impossible to get the ball to get the ball in the hoop. Like
Oh,
because you kind of
I'm
like
gonna need to look at this on YouTube. I'm
you
gonna
really
have
do
to.
like you
Jesus.
move the mouse and it like thrusts your arm upward, and then at the same time you let go of the button to throw the ball. But it's just like this parade of the ball not hitting anywhere near the hoop, and then you get eaten by a raptor. Because the raptor follows you onto the basketball court, and then you're dead.
Clever raptor, clever raptor,
clever girl.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing, and the thing is, the production quality actually is really good. Like they really put some muscle into it. The narration is strong. The tie-in into the Lost World movie is strong. So
yeah.
It's just that the game itself is
This isn't the one with the Jeff Goldblum ending video, right? That's a different game.
I think that is a different game, but I'm not 100%
tell you, but I think
sure.
it's a different game.
Okay, okay, I think all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jeff, if you haven't seen it, this game has actually given birth to an entirely new genre. Because if you guys are familiar with Surgeon Simulator,
oh yeah,
Surgeon Simulator is basically Jurassic Park Trespasser. But they lean into
how
the
bad
shitty,
and janky it is.
Yeah, like moving the
jank.
arms and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And it looks hilarious. The difference, of course, with Trespasser is that they were trying to make a good game.
Yeah.
And oh man, it is just a delight to watch. Probably my favorite YouTube game to watch. I just dissolve into giggles every time I see it.
Got to check that out.
Just this formless homunculi just walking around. Oh god,
it's incredible, man.
So
right.
Jeff, can you top that one?
Well, I was gonna say Jurassic Park on the Game Boy before you brought this one up because that's pretty bad.
Yeah,
but I feel like Jurassic Park's taken a bit of a hiding in this episode. Another game that came up, movie that came up, Bill and Ted, the Game Boy game for Excellent Adventure is from LJN is an abomination. It was, just to set the scene, I'm in the video game shop of my hometown, which probably didn't last long after that. And my dad said to me, pick any game you want. Any game. You got Super Mario Bros. 3 running on the screen. I didn't have an NES. But it was the era where Super Mario Bros. 3 was like everywhere. Like, this is the game.
Yeah.
And I would have looked at the wall, all the games on the Game Boy, and gone, Bill and Ted.
Oh my god.
My favourite movie. I want the game.
Baby.
Wild Stallions. So, it is, I think the NES game is exactly the same. I think it's just ported downscaled.
Yeah.
If that game could possibly be downscaled. It's like, think of it like the Donkey Kong game of the Game Boy, where you have like a single level and you've got to basically get the key to unlock the door to chase Donkey Kong.
Okay.
It's like a single level where you've got to collect, I think it's like musical notes to unlock the phone booth to get to the next stage. But Bill and Ted, the sprites, I don't know how you could imagine that these are Bill and Ted. It's just absolutely awful. Please look it up. But it has a great Wild Stallions intro screen of the kind of like the cartoon that they did at the time. So you're going to go, oh, great! This is going to be something to do with the cartoon. No, none of that. So it's it's awful. Music's awful. It's LJN pumping out shit. Pure and simple.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
that's too bad, man.
I mean, one of those movies where I watch it now and I'm like, okay, it's a movie of its time, but this game doesn't even deserve to be a game of its time.
Wow.
Yeah, man. I'm looking at a screenshot here, and this is an unfortunate situation here.
Exactly.
Are these little Abraham Lincolns that you're trying to avoid?
I think so.
Because I think is it okay? At least you're able to recognize that.
Yeah.
Because beyond that, I can't figure out. Is it Abraham Lincoln on every single level that you have to fight against?
It's different time periods or something.
It'll be the time periods. So it'll be like Billy the
Genghis
Kid
Khan and Socrates and
it's like Socrates. Yeah.
Do they all look like Abraham Lincoln? Because literally, the only enemy I'm seeing here when I'm on Google image search is Abraham Lincoln.
I think for say Billy the Kid, I think it's just a slightly shorter hat, maybe with a wider brim.
I gotta ask, just out of morbid curiosity about this. Acura Famicom game you've listed here.
Yeah, no, this was my because I didn't want to talk about Ghostbusters 2 on the MS DOS. It's not as bad as I remember. It's not that bad, but Akira on the Famicom. Akira's got a strange history with video games.
First of all, another thing you should not have watched as a child. Just gonna point that out there.
It's great having an older brother. That's all I can say. Older brothers are awesome.
Dude.
They get you front seat on things that parents are unaware of. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Nice.
The Akira game, it's one of those Famicom games that comes in the plastic clamshell, a bit like the Batman, the Sunsoft games. It's from Taito. So it's great. It's got all the film art. It's got a nice manual inside it, and the cart is a nice full of film art sticker, a black cart. Nice. So you kind of go, okay, great. But it's essentially a storybook game, visual novel game.
Oh, okay.
So you're not riding the bike, you're not fighting clowns. It's all just decision based, and obviously it's you can obviously get the ROM and have it translated. Yeah. But it's the graphic. I really want to try not to be too harsh. They're not shit. But the graphics are as if you gave me a shot of the film and asked me to make it in Microsoft Paint, and that's what you'd end up with. So that's awesome. Kind of So that's kind of how Akira ends up. And then, unfortunately, I think there was meant to be, or there was, and it wasn't very good. On the Amiga, there was meant to be an Akira game. For some time, there's always been promise of an Akira game, and then obviously the PS2 got the pinball game.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I didn't even know about that.
No, because I know you're a bit of a pinball guy, aren't you? Pinball game guy.
I enjoy me some pinball video games. Yep. Ever since Space Cadet on my Windows XP computer.
Everyone loved Space Cadet, man.
Everyone
was the bomb.
Yeah, it was awesome. I'm sure we could probably all compare our high scores and get some competitiveness going.
I just acquired Kiss Pinball, which I told Paul about.
That would be cool.
That's another one that I'm like.
Because I want that one. About that. And Austin Powers Pinball.
Oh god,
for the PS1. Yeah,
that one's horrendous.
So before we get into a pinball episode, thank you guys for joining me and going through. It's one of those areas of gaming where most people that you talk to have memories of playing some god-awful movie-based games. I think you really can't avoid it. Does it make for great podcast material? I think it has.
I'd say so, yeah.
Yeah. So really, great that you brought up some games. I mean, Arnie, some of your picks are ones I actually want to go after now and have another playthrough. Hopefully they're nice and cheap.
Sure.
Yeah.
So appreciate that. And of course, thank you everyone for making it through to the end. That's always it's always a big thanks for that. Like we said at the start, if you like what you've heard, please drop us a review, drop us a 5-star review even on your platform of choice, no matter which country you're in. That would be fantastic. Patreon is there if you want to contribute to us in a different way through your hard-earned pocket. And we do have that Discord channel, which is growing every day, much to my phone notifications annoyance. But no, I can turn off notifications. I'm not that slow. But that's definitely becoming a nice little hotbed of community. So we're really happy and grateful for people to join us there. And with that, Paul, can you please roll credits?
Will do, Geoff.
Thank you. See you guys.
Put the cookie down. That was one last one for everybody. Okay. You want to play games? Okay. Say hello to my little podcast, man. You fucking cockroaches.